Alright guys, for today we're going to go over a couple more multi-step examples of compound inequalities. Okay, so for this first one we have y divided by 8 is less than negative 2, or 4 plus 2y is less than or equal to 16. Okay, for this first inequality, in order to get y by itself, we need to cancel out the divided by 8. Okay, we know the opposite of dividing by 8 is going to be to multiply by 8. So we're going to multiply both sides by 8. What this does is it cancels out the divided by 8 on this left side. So we're just left with y is less than negative 2 times 8 gives us a negative 16. And then for the second one, to get y by itself, we need to cancel out this 4. Okay, so to cancel out a positive 4, we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Remember, if you like drawing the line to separate your left and right side, please do that. 4 minus 4 is 0, so we have 2y is less than or equal to 16 minus 4 is 12. Divide both sides by 2, and we get y is less than or equal to 6. Okay? These are our two inequalities. Alright? If we were to, let's look at these on a number line real quick. If we were to graph them, have negative 16 over here, we would have 6 over here, and the 6 gets shaded in because of the or equal to part. So for y is less than negative 16, we would shade everything to this left side, and then for y is less than or equal to 6, we're shading everything to left also. So if you notice, we ended up overlapping the part from earlier. So this anything less than or equal to 6, that covered everything that was less than negative 16 also, right? So really, this is what our graph looks like, right? If you remember with or, it's any shaded part is our solution. So really this one inequality takes care of both. Okay? Alright, one inequality statement with two inequalities, so that makes this an and compound inequality. Still, we're always trying to get our variable by itself. We have a 5 being multiplied on the outside of our parentheses, and then a plus 1 on the inside. So normally if we had 5x plus 1, we would just cancel out the plus 1 first, right? And then cancel out the multiplication. But since this 5 has already been factored out, it's on the outside of our parentheses, this 5 is being multiplied by both things. So we can go ahead and just divide by 5 to go ahead and cancel out that 5 that's on the outside, right? So if we divide by 5 on the middle, we need to do it on the left and the right as well. So those cancel out. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So we're left with negative 45 divided by 5 gives us a negative 9. This is 1, so 1 times x is just x. 1 times 1 is just a plus 1. 55 divided by 5 is 11. And then to get x by itself in the middle, we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. Negative 9 minus 1 is a negative 10, which is less than x, which is less than 11 minus 1 is 10. And there would be our and inequality. Number 3. It almost all fits in there. Okay. So for this one, to start off with, we're going to look at this first inequality. H plus 15 divided by 3 is greater than 8. Okay. So for this one, first thing we need to do is cancel out the 3 that's being divided. So to do that, we're going to multiply by 3. If we do it to one side, we've got to do it to the other side. 3 divided by 3 cancels. So we get h plus 15 is greater than 24. Minus 15 on both sides. and we get h is greater than 9. On the right side, we have 2 times 4 minus h divided by 10 is greater than or equal to 1. So for this one, okay, we can start off by canceling out our divided by 10 by multiplying both sides by 10. And let's see. There we go. So these would cancel out, and we have 2 times 4 minus h is greater than or equal to 10. Then we still have this 2 outside, just like above. 2 being multiplied by our parentheses, it's already been factored out, it's on the outside. So to cancel out, let's go ahead and cancel out that 2 by dividing by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, they cancel out. So we have 4 minus h is greater than or equal to 5. Trying to get h by itself still, so we want to cancel out a positive 4 by doing minus 4. So we get negative h is greater than or equal to 1. Divide by negative 1. And we get h, our inequality flips because we divided by a negative. Oops, sorry about that. And 1 divided by negative 1 is a negative 1. So those would be our 2 inequalities. H is greater than 9 and h is less than or equal to a negative 1. All right, here we have another and inequality. So to start off, to get w by itself, we need to cancel out the division first. So we're going to multiply all sides, the middle, the left, and the right, by 4. So 5 times 4 is 20. 4 divided by 4 cancels, and 10 times 4 gives us 40. All right. Moving on, we're going to subtract 6 from all 3 sides. 20 minus 6 gives us 14. And 40 minus 6 is 36. Divide everything by 2. And we get 7 is less than or equal to w, which is less than 18. All right, we also want to look at a word problem. So this word problem says Janet is training for cross country. She has to run at least 3 miles a day, but will run at most 8 miles a day. Write an inequality to represent the situation. So we want to look at the 2 different things that are going on. Okay. Our keywords here we have are at least and at most. Okay. So we're going to talk about miles. So we're going to let M represent our miles. So she has to run at least 3 miles a day. So that means her miles need to be more than or equal to 3. She can't run less than 3, right? That's the very least. So her miles need to be greater than or equal to 3. And then she can run, or she will run at most 8 miles. Okay? So her miles will be less than or equal to 8. Okay, because she doesn't want to run more, but she'll run up to 8. So she will run equal to 8, but she won't run more. Okay, so these are the 2 inequalities to represent this situation. Okay, and these can be combined into one inequality statement. The amount of miles she'll run will be less than or equal to 8, but her miles will also be greater than, so the greater mouth is facing the M, greater than or equal to 3. Okay, so miles has to be greater than or equal to 3, and the miles have to be less than or equal to 8.